right. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, am I audible enough? Can you all hear me? All right, good. This afternoon, we'll be talking about enabling decentralized interoperability between blockchains. And my name is Idris Olubisi. I am a developer advocate at Axelar. Today, we'll be going through how Axelar helps solve the issue of interoperability within the blockchain space, right? And I'll be focusing more on Axelar general message passing, how we're able to use general message passing to solve this issue. Sending assets cross-chain, sending messages cross-chain, both from the EVM ecosystem and the Cosmos ecosystem. So let's take a step back where we have the humble beginning, the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other protocols that allows us to benefit what decentralization means and also building on the blockchain. So moving on, we have the era of between 2017 to 2020. We get to see more change because now we have the problem of scalability, while we tend to see more protocols trying to solve this issue. So we see a lot of layer 1 solutions, layer 2 solutions in this case, where we have Avalanche, Celo, we have the likes of Polygon, all of these protocols, coming up to solve this particular issue, trying to scale what we have on Ethereum, providing higher transaction throughput and numerous features that isn't available in the first era. So moving on, we have, Okay. So from the era of 2021 till now, we get to see more protocols, which means we have more decentralized application, more developers trying to solve one problem or trying to build a particular application to solve a particular use case. And we tend to see more and more protocol, but all of these protocols tends to work in silos, right? How do we combine all of these protocols together? How do we make sure we have a central point where they could easily communicate from the EVM ecosystem, within the EVM ecosystem to the Cosmos ecosystem and back and forth. So, which is why I want to talk about what Axelar is doing with general message passing to enable this interoperability between chains. So this is like a screenshot of how many chains integrated. We have over 45 chains connected with Axelar, which means if you leverage the Axelar SDK, you can benefit and tap into all of this ecosystem just with a button click. So a button click in this case means that we have functions exposed to you as a dApp developer. All you just need to do is to use this SDK, integrate them in your front end or in your web application. And we also support using all of this SDK on the smart contract, right? So this is a snapshot of how many transactions we've processed so far and on mainnet, of course, and then the chains connected, and every other ecosystem within the Axelar network. So a guide on what the network itself looked like, which is the Axelar tech stack. We have the application layer, which is the different ecosystem. As you can see from the sketch, we have Ethereum, we have Avalanche, we have the ecosystem, Cosmos ecosystem. We also have the Polkadot ecosystem. So we have a layer, which is the Axelar API. Of course, you can connect with this API using the SDK provided by Axelar. And then moving on to the layer 1 gateways, where the Ethereum gateway is a smart contract, while other gateways and application used to connect and route messages between protocols, right? Then moving to the Axelar network itself, where every message that gets sent from the source chain to the destination chain get validated on the Axelar network, which means right now we have over 70 plus validators, which makes this whole system completely decentralized. And just to add to that, Axelar is a proof-of-stake blockchain, decentralized blockchain built on the Cosmos SDK. So end-to-end validation happens on-chain before message gets routed to the destination chain. So send token superpowers. I mentioned we have general message passing suitable for sending messages across blockchain, and then we have sending messages plus token. Now, in this case, we want to deal with assets. What are the functions available for us to leverage within the Axelar ecosystem for you to facilitate this transaction between chains? One of them is deposit addresses, and in the next slide, I will explain what that means. The other is sending token. That's a function called send token to allow you to move assets from one protocol to the other. And the last on this list is Interchain Token. So deposit address, this is what it looks like. Basically, it's a temporary special address created and monitored by Axelar relayers. And these services is monitored on behalf of the requester. So for example, you want to send, you want to programmatically create an address, and that address, you want a user to send any assets to that particular address, and it gets routed to the destination chain. So these are the parameters that you could apply, or pass in, rather, into the function. And if you notice from here, you can see all of these things gotten from our SDK, which means that if you have the SDK installed on your system, or on your application, you will be able to access this function. And then it takes in parameter like the from chain, which is the source chain, where you want to send in, where you want to send the asset from, and then the to chain, which is the destination chain, the destination address, and the assets that you want to send. So this creates a temporary address for you. And any asset that gets sent to that address gets routed automatically to the destination chain. So there are several use cases around this, right? If you have some sort of logic or use case that you want to dynamically create this, so on the front end, it looks like a user could just select a destination chain, a source chain, pass in an asset, and then click send. So behind the scene, as a developer, you can utilize this function to generate a dynamic deposit address. User clicking send from the front end now triggers that action, and you get the deposit address. So you can pass in all of those assets, and be rest assured that once the user proceeds, you can be able to send that asset from the source chain to the destination chain. The second one here is the send token, which is a function on the gateway, on the Axelar gateway EVM contract itself, that facilitates token transfers between the EVM blockchain to the Cosmos chains, to any of the Cosmos chains, right? So we have a function. This function takes in a couple of parameters, which is the destination chain. In this example, we have the Avalanche blockchain, and then we pass in the address, the asset symbol, in this case is USDC, and then the amount to be sent from your source chain to the destination chain. So this is a typical example of how you could leverage this function to send assets cross-chain. Then now, moving on to the Interchain token itself. So Interchain token basically allows you to send tokens cross-chain, build your own assets, build assets to transfer from a particular blockchain to another. So this, of course, interacting with your decentralized application built on the web. And also we have lots more based on your use case that you want to do. So I think 2 days ago, we announced the launch of the Interchange Token sites, that's Interchange Token service that you could check out. So if you want to, you can scan the QR code. It will redirect you to a site where you could select assets. So the good thing is that if you are creating a brand new chain, you can directly create the chain on this platform. Or if you have an existing ERC20 address that you want to register, a token that you want to register, you can just pass it in here, register on the source chain. So in this case, you can decide to pick any, but the default on this UI is polygons because I've selected Polygon. So you can decide to select any blockchain that you want, register it on that blockchain as an Interchain token, and then deploy it remotely into any other ecosystem. So you could have Base, Moonbase, Binance, or any other ecosystem, and the portal would help you handle all of the processes behind the scene and make your token an Interchain token. So now let's move on to the send messages part. I explained earlier that we have sending messages across chain and then sending message plus assets cross chain. So now we've talked about the sending assets part of it. Now, what if you want to send message cross chain, right? And all of these things happen within the Axelar general message passing ability. So here we have the core contract, and then we have the core contract with token. So this is an example of how core contract looks like. Under this category, what we're basically doing is to help developers building on one chain to be able to call this function on any other connected chain. So I mentioned earlier that if you visit the platform for registering your token Interchain, there are things going on behind the scene. So what we're literally doing is leveraging this particular function, but in this case, this is for messaging. So in the next slide, I would show what sending message and asset looks like, right? So here, what we're doing is that we want to send messages cross-chain, and we're passing the parameter of adding destination chain, the contract address, the payload. So the payload could be a message, a string, an array, or anything you could think of, any type you could think of, right? And then for the function that says underscore execute, this is a function that gets run automatically on the destination chain. So after utilizing this section, the execute method gets run on the destination chain when you're trying to send message from one protocol to the other. So this is basically for sending messages, right? And you could have anything in the payload. Remember that, so you could have a JSON, an array, or any type that you want. So another one is core contract with token, which allows you not just to send messages, but also to send message plus assets. So you might be wondering like what kind of use case you could get as part of sending messages. So a very good example is Squid platform, where we have people swap assets from one protocol to the other. They utilize Axelar, and they are doing this really, really well. So that's one very good example. Of course, there are several use cases where you could leverage sending assets cross-chain, utilizing the power or the superpower that comes with you, leveraging the Axelar SDK in interoperability generally. So Axelar Examples, here we have tons of examples to get anyone started, right? Ranging from the basic things you need to do, like maybe sending, utilizing core contract, deposit address, send tokens, and then moving on to advanced stuff like NFT linker, send acknowledgement, which serve like sending a message and getting an acknowledgement if the message has been received in the destination chain. So all of this repository contains a lot of examples, and we are actively updating this repo with examples to get all developers started building with Axelar. So you can check it out, right? It contains examples, including front-end examples, where you can see a UI to interact with, and behind the scene, we utilize the Axelar functions that help you move assets from one chain to another. So what next? It's easy to build with Axelar, very easy to build with Axelar, because we've done quite a lot of work to make sure that the developer experience is smooth, and also it doesn't take a lot for you to get started. That's why we provide examples that you could play around with, examples that you can check out. So we also provide support, full support for any developers building with Axelar. You can scan this QR code, get redirected to the Discord channel, where you have access to other contributors within the Axelar community, developer relations team within the Axelar community, moderators, and they will be happy to help you with any issues or problem you're having. So that's it. Thank you very much for having me.